I never thought I'd hold a gun to my own sister's head, but there I was, finger trembling on the trigger, the cold steel kissing her temple like a lover's betrayal. The inheritance papers lay scattered on the floor like confetti from a funeral we both pretended to mourn, each forged signature a dagger I'd overlooked for years. "You stole everything from Mom and Dad," I whispered, my voice cracking like the thunder outside. "And now, Emily, you're going to confess. Or God help me, I'll make you." That moment in the lawyer's office wasn't the beginning. It was the unraveling of a lifetime of lies I'd swallowed whole. But let's back up, because to understand why I crossed that line, you have to know how deep the rot went. My name's Sophie Harlan, and in the gritty underbelly of Chicago, where the wind off Lake Michigan bites harder than any regret, family isn't blood. It's the noose you tie around your own neck. It started with the call from the hospital, the kind that rips the air from your lungs before you even pick up. Mom and Dad had been driving back from their annual pilgrimage to the Wisconsin Dells, that kitschy escape where they pretended life was still simple, when a semi-truck jackknifed it on I-94. The cops said it was instant, no suffering, just a crumpled Accord and 2 lives snuffed out like birthday candles. I was 32, knee-deep in freelance graphic design gigs that barely covered my Logan Square rent, when Emily's voice cut through the static. "Soph, it's bad. Get here now." Emily was always the golden child, 5 years my senior, with that porcelain skin and boardroom poise that made people forget she was born in the same cramped bungalow as me. She'd clawed her way to a junior exec spot at a Loop law firm, the kind where partners golf with aldermen and secrets get buried deeper than bodies in the Chicago River. Me? I was the fixer, the one who mopped up messes without a trace. Like that summer in '09, when Emily, fresh out of Northwestern law, got sloppy with a client's escrow account. Embezzlement whispers floated around, but I was the one who forged the bank statements. Hell, I even took the heat when the auditor came sniffing, claiming it was my side hustle gone wrong. "Family first," she'd sobbed into my shoulder that night, her mascara running like black rivers. I did it because she was my big sister, the one who'd braided my hair and promised we'd conquer the world together. Turns out, the world was just her playground, and I was the janitor. The funeral was a blur of gray suits and casseroles that tasted like ash. St. Ignatius packed with Mom's Bridge Club widows and Dad's old union buddies from the steel mill, all murmuring about how the Harlans were good people, salt of the earth. Emily handled the eulogy like a closing argument, her voice steady as she painted our parents as pillars of the community, their modest nest egg from Dad's pension and Mom's part-time gig at the library enough to keep things afloat. I stood in the back, clutching a crumpled tissue, my eyes on the mahogany caskets that looked too small for the lives inside. That night, over whiskey in our childhood kitchen, linoleum peeling like old skin, Emily pulled out the will. They wanted us taken care of, sophomore equal shares like always. But it wasn't equal. The document, crisp and notarized, left the house in Pilsen, the savings bonds, even Dad's vintage Mustang in the garage. All to Emily. For her stability, the clause read, "Given her demanding career." My name? A footnote. Sophie receives $10,000 for educational pursuits. Educational pursuits. At 32, with a portfolio of unpaid invoices and a cat named Whiskey who judged me harder than any client. I laughed, a hollow bark that echoed off the Formica counters. "This is a joke, right? Mom hated lawyers, said they were vultures. Dad would have split it down the middle." Emily's eyes flickered, just for a second, that telltale twitch at the corner of her mouth, like when we'd raid the cookie jar as kids and she'd blame the dog. "It's what they wanted. Read it yourself." I did, my fingers tracing the signatures at the bottom. Eleanor Harlan and Thomas Harlan, loops and crosses I'd memorized from birthday cards and grocery lists. But something gnawed at me, itch under the skin. The notary's seal looked off, the date stamped 2 weeks before the accident, when Mom's arthritis made her scrawl more like chicken scratches than the elegant cursive she prided herself on. I let it slide, though, buried it with the caskets. For 3 months, I crashed in the Pilsen house, sorting through photo albums and Dad's toolbox, the air thick with the scent of mothballs and regret. Emily flitted in and out, her heels clicking like accusations, already talking real estate agents and flipping it for a profit. I'd nod, numb, while inside, the betrayal simmered like a pot left too long on the stove. It boiled over at the estate attorney's office on Wacker Drive, a glass tower that screamed money, the kind our family never had. Mr. Reginald Voss was old-school Chicago, silver hair slicked back, cufflinks glinting like mobster bling, and a desk the size of a Buick. He'd handled Mom and Dad's affairs for decades, back when Emily was in diapers and I was finger-painting on the fridge. "Ladies," he drawled, adjusting his bifocals, "let's get this settled." He slid the will across the blotter, the same one I'd poured over in the kitchen, but as his eyes scanned the signatures, his bushy brows furrowed like storm clouds rolling in off the lake. "Curious," he muttered, pulling a magnifier from his drawer. Emily shifted in her seat, that poised facade cracking just a hair, her manicured nails digging into her knee. I watched, heart pounding like a bass drum in a blues club. Voss leaned in, the light catching the embossed seal, and then he chuckled, a low, rumbling sound that filled the room like smoke. "Well, I'll be damned. These aren't your parents' marks." Emily's head snapped up. "What do you mean?" "It's notarized. Forged," Voss cut in, his voice flat as Lake Michigan in winter. "Amateur work, if I'm honest. The pressure strokes are all wrong. Eleanor's always looped her LS tighter, like she was squeezing the life out of the pen. And Thomas? Never dotted his I that way. It was a slash, like he was crossing out bad luck." He tapped the page, the sound echoing like a gavel. "Someone traced these and sloppily. Probably scanned an old check or something." The room went still, the hum of the AC the only heartbeat. Emily's face drained of color, her lips parting in a silent gasp. "Me?" A fire ignited in my chest, hot and righteous, spreading to my fingertips. All those years covering her ass, taking the fall for her screw-ups, and this? Stealing our legacy, our home, because what? My life wasn't stable enough? Voss cleared his throat, oblivious to the grenade he'd just lobbed. "We'll need to contest this, of course. Fraud invalidates the whole thing. Police report, forensics on the ink. Could take months, but the estate reverts to intestate succession. Equal split, bloodlines being what they are." Equal. The word hung there, a lifeline I'd been drowning without. Emily recovered first, her lawyer brain kicking in like a switchblade. "Mr. Voss, this is preposterous. Perhaps a family misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" I exploded, my voice raw, cutting through her silk-smooth denial. "You mean like when I covered for you on that escrow bullshit? Or when you borrowed Dad's credit card for your sorority trip and I ate the overdraft fees?" The words tumbled out, years of swallowed bile, and Voss's eyes widened behind his glasses. Emily's gaze locked on mine, cold as the windy city's gales, promising war. We left that office fractured, the will clutched in my fist like a talisman. Emily hailed a cab first, her parting shot a hissed whisper. "Don't make this ugly, Sophie. For once in your life, think about the family." Family. The word tasted like rust. I walked the loop alone, skyscrapers looming like judgmental giants, the L train rattling overhead like my unraveling nerves. Forgery. Betrayal. It wasn't just paper she'd faked. It was us, the Harlan girls, unbreakable, or so I'd believed. That night, back in Pilsen, I rifled through the attic, dust motes dancing in the flashlight beam like guilty ghosts. Boxes of old letters, Mom's recipe cards, Dad's war stories from Noms scribbled on napkins. And there, tucked in a shoebox labeled Girls, a manila envelope sealed with yellowed tape. My hand shook as I pried it open, spilling photos and a single cassette tape, the kind from Walkman's long extinct. The label in Mom's hand, for Sophie. Only if the truth matters more than blood. I didn't sleep. Played it on Dad's ancient boombox, the static crackling like bones breaking. Mom's voice, frail but fierce. "Baby girl, if you're hearing this, things went south with your sister. She came to us last year, desperate, debts from that firm, bad investments, the kind that swallow souls. We forgave the first loan, even the second. But the third, she pressured us, Sophie. Said you'd understand, that you'd always clean up her messes. We signed nothing willingly. If we're gone, fight for what's yours. But remember, revenge is a mirror. It shows you the monster you become. The tape ended with Dad's gravelly chuckle. Love you, kid. Make us proud, but don't lose yourself. I sat there till dawn, the city waking with horns and shouts, plotting my first move. Emily thought she was the chess master, but I'd been the pawn too long. Time to flip the board. The days blurred into a haze of legalese and late-night stakeouts, Chicago's pulse sinking with my own frantic beat. Voss filed the contest that week, looping in the state's attorney for the fraud angle, petty charge, maybe, but enough to rattle Emily's gilded cage. She lawyered up faster than a South Side bookie dodging the feds, her firm's top guns circling like sharks scenting chum. Texts ping my phone. Let's talk. Coffee? My treat. I ignored them, holing up in the Pilsen house, fortifying it like a bunker. The Mustang purred in the garage, Dad's pride and joy, a '67 fastback, cherry red, with more miles than sense. I took it out once, tearing down Lakeshore Drive, wind whipping my hair, pretending I could outrun the ache. But ghosts don't fade at 80 miles per hour. Emily's flips started subtle, the way a con unravels thread by thread. First, the olive branch, flowers on the doorstep, lilies that reeked of apology with a note. Sis, I was scared. The debts. They're bigger than you know. We can fix this together. I burned it in the sink, watching the flames lick the words like judgment. Then came the charm offensive, cornering me at the corner bodega, where I'd grab my morning Red Bull. Soph, remember that time in high school when you bombed the SATs and I tutored you through it? We're Harlans, we stick. Her eyes, blue as Lake Michigan on a sunny day, pleading. I wanted to believe her, God help me. Wanted the sister who'd shared secrets under the covers, whispering dreams of escaping this Rust Belt town for the lights of L.A. But the forgery loomed, a specter in every smile. Voss called midweek, his voice tinny over the landline. Got the ink analysis back. Blue Bic, post, 2015 formula. Your parents' will was drafted in '08, black fountain pen. Ironclad forgery. He paused, the clink of ice in his scotch audible. But here's the rub, Sophie. Traces of your prints on the envelope. Care to explain? My stomach dropped like the L at rush hour. The envelope from the attic. I'd handled it, sure. But how? Emily. She'd been in the house that morning, helping sort. Slipped it there as a plant? Or worse, framed me to muddy the waters? It's bullshit. I spat. She set me up. The police interview was a circus in a precinct that smelled of stale coffee and desperation. Detective Ruiz, a no-nonsense Latina with a badge older than my regrets, leaned across the scarred table. Miss Harlan, your sister's alleging duress, says you threatened her after the reading. And these? She slid photos across, my laptop open to estate fraud tutorials, timestamps from weeks ago. I'd searched them, yeah, out of paranoia, but Emily's IT guy must have hacked my cloud. Circumstantial. I insisted, palms slick. She's the one who traced Mom's signature. Check the notary. It's her buddy from the firm. Ruiz's eyes narrowed, that cop skepticism honed on Wrigleyville drunks and Gold Coast grifters. Sisters turning on each other? Happens more than you'd think. But if you're clean, why the gun permit renewal last month? I froze. The Glock 19, registered after a string of Logan Square break-ins, now a noose tightening. Emily was flipping the script. Victim now, me the villain. Painting me as the unstable one, the jealous little sister who'd always resented her success. By the time I walked out, cuffs itching my wrists from the pat-down, the headlines were already brewing. Inheritance feud turns family foul. I drove the Mustang to her Gold Coast condo that night, the engine's roar drowning my sobs. The doorman waved me up. Miss Harlan, always a pleasure. Idiot didn't know the war brewing. Emily answered in yoga pants and a silk robe, hair tousled like She'd been napping off a martini lunch. Soph? What? Save it, I snarled, shoving past into the marble-floored mausoleum she called home. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the glittering skyline, a view that mocked our shared upbringing. I paced, the Berber rug muffling my fury. The prince, the searches you hacked me, framed me to look desperate. Her face crumpled, theatrical tears welling. I didn't, God, Soph, I'm drowning here. The firm's cutting me loose over the debts, creditors calling at all hours. I just borrowed the signatures, meant to pay it back, rewrite the will fair. It was panic, not malice. Panic. The word hung, a flimsy veil, over the lie. I grabbed her shoulders, not hard, but enough to feel her flinch. You used me my whole life, the fall guy for your fuck-ups. That escrow? I could have gone to jail. And now this? Mom and Dad's memory, twisted for your condo fund. She pulled away, eyes flashing defiance. The flip again, from contrite to cornered cat. Oh, please. Do you think you're innocent? Who crashed Dad's truck into the fence at 16, drunk on Boone's farm? I lied to the cops, said it was joyriders. Or Mom's migraines. Your pot habit she covered as illness. We're even, Sophie. Blood's thicker than ink. Her words landed like hooks, yanking up truths I'd buried. Yeah, I'd screwed up. Teenage rebellion in a city that chews dreams like gum. But forgery? Theft of a legacy? That was premeditated poison. We argued till the neighbors banged on the walls, her voice rising to operatic heights. You want the house? Take it, live in that shithole with your freelance scraps. I'll fight you in court, bleed you dry. I left at 3 a.m., the Mustang's tires screeching into the night, her final barb echoing. You're just like Dad, stubborn till it kills you. The next flip came via Voss, Emily's countersuit, alleging emotional abuse, claiming I'd harassed her post-funeral. She attached emails, faked I knew, my style mimicked with eerie precision. Sophie, you're unraveling. Get help before you drag us all down. The judge, a grizzled vet named Kowalski, set a hearing for mediation, but by then, the press had latched on. Chicago Tribune ran a fluff piece, sisterly schism, forged wills and fractured bonds. Online forums lit up, Reddit's r/Chicago exploding with Team Emily versus Sophie deserves justice, armchair lawyers dissecting our lives like autopsy reports. I hit the bottle harder than Dad ever did, Whiskey the cat my only confidant. Nights blurred into stakeouts outside Emily's firm, watching her schmooze partners in power suits, her laugh tinkling like broken glass. One evening, tailing her to a dimly lit steakhouse in River North, I saw it. Her with Marcus Hale, the firm's rainmaker, hands lingering too long over ribeyes. Marcus, the same prick who'd overlooked her escrow theft years back, in exchange for favors. The secret she'd buried, the one I'd helped conceal. Rage boiled, but so did clarity. She wasn't just scheming. She was surviving, in her twisted way. Did that excuse it? Hell no. But it made the revenge taste bittersweet. Voss warned me off escalation. Courts move slow, but bullets move fast, but I couldn't stop. Hired a PI on credit, a grizzled ex-cop named Frankie, who smelled of camels and regret. Dig deep, I told him. Everything. His report landed a week later. Over black coffee in a Wicker Park diner, Emily's debts weren't just firm-related. She'd been funneling cash to Marcus's side ventures, off-books real estate flips in Bronzeville, skirting code violations, displacing families for condos that'd make her rich. And the kicker? Mom and Dad's loan from last year? It vanished into that black hole, their Social Security checks rerouted via forged powers of attorney. Emily hadn't just forged the will, she'd been bleeding them dry for months, me oblivious in my bubble of loyalty. The hearing loomed, but I was done playing defense. That night, I loaded the Glock, the click metallic and final. Emily's condo again, this time unannounced, the doorman bribed with a 20. She opened the door in lingerie, reeking of Chanel and Cabernet, Marcus's tie slung over a chair in the background. Soph, wait. No more flips, I said, the barrel level with her chest. Her eyes widened, not fear, but calculation, already lawyering her escape. Confess. On tape. Or I pull this trigger and let the headlines write themselves. Heiress slays sister in inheritance rage. The standoff stretched, seconds elastic as taffy, the city lights pulsing beyond the windows like a voyeuristic crowd. Emily's breath hitched, her silk slipping off one shoulder, but she didn't scream. Oh no, that would have been too easy. Instead, she stepped closer, the gun's muzzle pressing into her sternum, her voice a velvet blade. You won't shoot, sophomore. Not you, the good one, the fixer. Pull that trigger, and you're me. Worse. Her words wormed in, doubt's old friend, but I held steady, the cassette from Mom burning a hole in my pocket. Tapes rolling. I lied, nodding to my phone propped on her coffee table, red light blinking like a lie detector. Start talking. The loans, the signatures, Marcus's dirty flips. All of it. She laughed, a brittle sound that echoed off the exposed brick. And what? You leak it to the Trib? Ruin us both. Think, Sophie. We're all we've got left. All we've got. The lie of our lives, spun since pigtails and playground swings. I thought of the PI's photos. Emily air-kissing Marcus at galas, their hands brushing escrow folders like lovers' notes. The families evicted from those Bronzeville walk-ups, working folks like Mom and Dad, displaced for her climb. You bled them dry, I whispered, the gun wavering. Mom's checks, Dad's pension, for what? A view and a corner office? Her flip came swift as a Chicago gale, tears spilling genuine now. Mascara tracks like war paint. You don't get it. The firm's a viper pit. Marcus owns me, has since law school. That favor you covered? It wasn't just money, it was him. Nights I can't forget, debts that chain you worse than steel. She sank to her knees, robe pooling like surrender, hands raised, palms out. I forged to buy time, to pay him off before he exposed us both. Mom and Dad. They knew, sophomore forgave me like always. The will? My insurance, to keep you out, keep you safe from the fallout. Safe. The word ignited the powder keg. Safe? By framing me? Planting evidence, sicking Ruiz on my ass. My voice cracked, the Glock heavy as sin. Outside, sirens wailed, Chicago's lullaby, close enough to chill. Emily's eyes darted, calculating escape routes, but she pressed on, weaving her web. I did it for us. Contest the will, and Marcus flips, testifies to your involvement in the escrow. We both go down, Sophie. Prison stripes don't suit either of us. The room spun, truths colliding like rush hour traffic. She'd flipped again, from predator to prey, villain to victim, dragging me into her gray. Was she lying? Partly wholly? The gun trembled, my index finger a hair from damnation. Mom's voice echoed. Revenge is a mirror. I saw it then. My reflection in the blade-sharp window, eyes hollow as Emily's, a Harlan monster mirrored. But the betrayal burned brighter, years of her shadows eclipsing my light. Tape it, I growled, steadying. She rose slow, a queen dethroned, and monologued, voice steady, script polished. The forgeries, the rerouted funds, Marcus's threats. Lies laced with truths, enough to torpedo her career, maybe land her in Cook County lockup. As she spoke, I circled, snatching her phone, glimpsing texts. Tell Sophie to back off or I bury her too, Proof. Cold, digital venom. It ended with her plea. Delete it after. Walk away, sis. We're even. I pocketed the phone, gun lowering inch by inch. Even? Never. Backing toward the door, heart hammering, I fled into the night, the Mustang devouring miles to Pilsen. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving, me slumped on the porch, Glock unloaded beside me. Voss's office by 9 a.m., spilling the audio. Anonymous drop to the state's attorney, Marcus's Empire first domino. The fallout hit like a loop blizzard. Emily's firm suspended her pending investigation, headlines screaming legal eagles nest fouled, embezzlement ring exposed. Marcus lawyered up, but his flips caught fire. Texts leaking, evictions halted by city probes. Emily called once, voice shattered. You destroyed me, sophomore. But thank you for ending it.
Click.
No apology, just absolution? Her final flip, from foe to phantom. Court dragged, mediation a farce, Kowalski slamming his gavel on irreconcilable animus. The will invalidated, estate split clean, house and Mustang mine bonds halved. But victory tasted like bile. Reddit wars raged. Sophie the Avenger or Vengeful Psycho? Splitting readers down bloody lines. Was I hero, exposing rot? Or villain, gun to kin's head, blurring justice into vendetta? Nights, I drive dad's car along the drive, wind therapy, but the mirror mocked. Who'd I become? Emily vanished post-suspension, rumors swirling. A sabbatical in Miami, or witness protection whispers. Frankie, the PI, tailed a lead. Her Otto hair, boarding a red-eye, carry-on stuffed with files. Running scared, he grunted over burner phones. I let her go, or tried. The revenge sated, but hunger lingered. Then the twist. Voss's courier delivered a package, unmarked, Mom's handwriting on the seal. Inside, a letter, Eleanor's script, dated weeks before the crash. Sophie love, if Emily's webs tangle you, know this. She wasn't always the spider. Your father. He had secrets too. The nom debts, the man he killed in panic. I covered, like you do for her. Cycles, baby. Break it, or become it. Dad? A killer? The letter detailed fragments. Jungle ghosts, a buddy's accidental shot pinned on VC. VA benefits forged to silence guilt. Mom's burden, passed unwitting to me. Emily's crimes? Echoes of his, her flips my inheritance. The house felt haunted now, walls whispering indictments. I burned the letter in the fireplace, ashes scattering like absolution denied. Emily resurfaced months later, a ghost in my inbox. Soph, need to talk. Truth this time. Meet at the Dells where it started. Trap? Redemption? The hook sank deep, controversy churning. Fans online debated. Go, seal the sisterhood. Versus stay, vengeance won. I packed the Mustang, Glock tucked in the glove box, gunning west on I-90, prairies unfolding like unanswered prayers. The Dells Motel was a time capsule, neon flickering vacancy, the Wisconsin River murmuring secrets. Emily waited in room 7, gaunt in flannel, no makeup, no armor. Come to finish it? She asked, door creaking like bones. We sat on sagging twin beds, the room smelling of pine cleaner and old regrets, a six-pack of Leinenkugels sweating on the nightstand like reluctant witnesses. Emily cracked one, handing it over, her hands steady, but shadows bruised her eyes, the golden girl ground to grit. No gun, she quipped, nodding to my empty holster bulge. I sipped, the brew bitter as bile. Figured words might wound deeper. She laughed hollow. Touché. Then the floodgates. No flips this time, just flood. Miami was exile, not escape, crashing on a law school buddy's couch, bartending at a dive where tips barely covered the shakes. Marcus flipped on her in the probe, testifying she'd seduced the scheme, painting her the femme fatale. Fed circled, Rico whispers, but she cut a deal, ratted on bigger fish, immunity for testimony. Cost me everything, she said, voice fraying. Friends, license, soul.
But you
lit the match. Guilt twisted, sharp as the river's bend outside. You lit it first, forging, framing. Stole more than money. You stole trust. She nodded, unflinching. Karma's a bitch, yeah. But the real thief? Dad. She pulled a faded Polaroid from her pocket, him young, fatigues mud-caked, arm around a GI with haunted eyes. Mom's letter? Tip of the iceberg. He confessed to me last year, drunk on the anniversary. That buddy he shot? Friendly fire, covered as enemy ambush. VA paid hush money for decades, checks we lived on. Sophie. The house, our college funds? Blood money. The room tilted, lanes sloshing. Dad, my hero, the grill master, the storyteller, a murderer? Mom's cycle letter clicked, her cover-ups birthing ours. Emily's embezzlement? Desperation's echo, debts from Dad's ghost payments she'd uncovered, trying to refill the well before it ran dry. I forged to protect you, she whispered. Knew if the truth spilled, you'd chase it, end up like him broken.
Protect.
The word looped, absurd. By bleeding Mom and Dad? By gunpoint threats. I leaned in, faces close as kids whispering forts. Her eyes, mirrors of mine, brimmed. Flips were survival. Victim one day, villain the next, keeps the monsters at bay.
But you
chose the mirror. Broke it. Outside, thunder grumbled. Dell's storms biblical. We talked till midnight, skeletons rattling. My pot-fueled crashes she'd bailed, her law school breakdowns I'd medicated with stolen Valium. Equals and flaws, Harlan's to the marrow, flawed, fierce, fractured. What now? I asked, the gun's absence a void. She shrugged, dawn creeping pink through blinds. Separate checks from the estate. You keep the house, make it yours. I'll fade, maybe pro bono somewhere warm. No more webs. A truce? Or intermission? The twist landed soft, debate fodder. Forgiveness a cop-out, or revenge's true end. Online, if they knew, it'd split galaxies. Emily reformed, versus Sophie's suckered again. I drove back solo, Mustang humming hymns, the river receding like shed skin. Pilsen welcomed, walls warmer, whiskey purring absolution. Emily's last text, love you, fixer.
fix yourself.
I did. Sold the Glock, therapy in Wicker Park basements, gigs blooming into a studio downtown. The inheritance? Half to a Bronzeville tenants fund, restitution's nod. The other half? Seeds for something new. But nights, doubts whisper. Did I win? Or just delay the flip? Emily's in Phoenix now, per Frankie, public defender, fighting evictions with words, not weapons. Hero? Echo? We don't speak, but the mirrors kinder, cracks mended, reflection whole. Chicago spins on, wind whipping secrets into the lake, and me? Sophie Harlan, scarred but standing, in a city that forgives nothing but remembers all. Was it justice, or just another Harlan lie? You decide, because in the end, revenge isn't the act, it's the echo that divides us.